Okay, so I thought I'd try something of doing a daily video talking about my meditation tip for that day. I'm guessing I'll probably only do this first one and then never do any more, but I was watching on someone else's channel, Niemchak, I'm not sure how you pronounce his name, just started doing a little video each day talking about that day's sit, and I thought I would give it a try. No idea how this will go or if I'll really have anything to say. Yeah, so today I did, sorry if it's annoying with me like holding the camera and moving around. Also my phone camera is pretty terrible. Today I sat for like just under an hour, I think, and I was doing mindfulness of emotion, which I tried yesterday. Hadn't done that in a while. I tried yesterday, and it was kind of a cool experience, and kind of got some cool emotional insights and stuff. So I was trying that again today. Mindfulness of emotions. I guess what I mean by that is I will pay attention to my emotions. I guess like mainly in my body, mainly in like the central column of the body. I mainly feel emotions in like sort of chest, solar plexus area. In body, and then also just in general sense of emotions. And I will like say, I guess do like noting of them. So say like fear, annoyance, fear, rage, whatever. Noticing them. And yeah, I guess that's basically it. And I guess I've been, the way I've been doing that as well is particularly paying attention to the changing of emotions. I guess you could say like mindfulness of the of impermanence of emotions, or Nietzsche is like the term in Buddhism. And so trying to catch all those little changes. Oh, that went from anger to rage for a moment, and then back to anger, or this type of thing. So I find, well, I haven't done this that much. I've just done it a few times. But a few times doing it, it's quite a cool experience where it will like bring up, after a while it will start like bringing up memories. Like specific memories from different times in my life, and maybe ones that I like haven't thought about in like ages, or since I was a kid or something, and that like seem kind of random specific things, but I guess are like connected to an emotion that I'm noticing at that time, which is kind of cool. I didn't like expect that to happen when I started trying this practice. Just thought I'd be like, being aware of what I was feeling, but it does seem to do this memory thing sometimes, which is kind of fun. And I like when kind of fun, kind of novel, interesting things like that happen in meditation. So I've noticed that with it, and also just like that, seeing a lot more change in emotions than I would have thought from than I would have thought, I guess, which I guess is part of the point of paying attention to like impermanence and change and stuff. That you think like, oh, I'm, if I feel annoyed, I just like feel straight annoyed for half an hour or something. But then when you're like noticing each little change, it's like, oh no, actually that was like went to fear for a bit, or like there was a moment of like love in there randomly because I like thought about this person I love or something. And also just like shifting, like, so maybe it's like an annoyance, but then it's kind of like dropping into like, oh, actually there's like a fear that was underneath the annoyance or something, and feeling that. And I'm never quite sure like how much of those changes is changes that would be happening anyway that I'm just then more aware of because I'm doing like meditating on it, or whether and how much is like actual that it is shifting more because I'm paying more attention, right? Like, oh, I would have just felt anxiety for half an hour, but because I was paying more attention to it and the little changes, like then that shifted more into like a I don't know, an anger that was like underneath the anxiety or something. I always feel like a bit, I don't know what I think about this whole kind of default Western model of like there being emotions underneath emotions or something, and you're trying to like dig down to the true feeling, and then that like is the golden solution or something. But sometimes, yeah, I'm not like totally sold on that. That's how things work. I don't know, but sometimes that kind of thing seems to happen. Anyway, I guess I can speak a bit more specifically about this morning's sit, and I guess I'll talk a bit about yesterday's tomorrow as well because I felt quite connected. So yesterday's was pretty cool. I think probably because of two things, some key reasons. One thing I've realized doing a bunch of meditation this year is that my tendency is to assume that like how well or badly sit goes is due to like I don't know, just like my own if I'm like approaching things the right way in my mind, or like due to kind of my personal decisions and like how I'm doing the meditation or something, right? Like, am I getting it wrong or am I getting it wrong? Right. Am I, being too goal oriented or doing this or that? My tendency is to think in terms of that's things that would kind of be connected to blaming or giving credit to myself. But I've noticed that actually a lot more of the time than I would think it's due to like just conditions like how much did I sleep, or like did I drink coffee before I meditated? That's actually a massive one. Caffeine helps my meditation so much. So I think the main reasons that yesterday's it was felt particularly kind of cool and interesting and having insights was that I intentionally drank like a lot of coffee, like twice as much as I usually would or something. And I had a very like emotionally intense few days before that, like a very emotionally intense, and I think that I don't know, it just felt like that made me, I don't know what the word is, more open or something. I don't know, like I'm usually a big thing that gets in the way of meditation for me is being like just sort of very in my head, caught up in my own little like thought loops of kind of like obsessing on things and questioning if I'm doing the meditation right and stuff. And so I think maybe like going through this very emotionally intense stuff was even though it wasn't like relaxing or something, maybe meant that I was like a bit less caught up in those loops of like just obsessing over how well I'm doing the meditation or something, and was more like shaken out of that or something. I'm not sure how to articulate it, but I think probably that and the gift of coffee helped. And then I was doing this mindfulness of emotions. This is yesterday, and I basically realized, so I was like noting the different emotions, and then I try to also pay attention to like more subtle shifts that I don't necessarily have like a separate label for. So maybe I'm like noting it's like fear, and then it might be like, oh, now that's changed to anger, but it might be like it's still fear, but like the fear just got a bit more intense or became a bit more gentle, or there's like some other sort of more subtle shift in the quality or experience of the fear, and I try to notice those things, even though like those changes I don't note. So like if it's a change from one emotion to another, I will like note it with a different word. Okay, now that's anger. But if it's like a more subtle shift, I'll try to still observe or notice it, even if I'm not noting it with a label. And something that came out of yesterday's sit was with one feeling sort of kept coming up that I noticed I didn't really feel like I had the right label for, like this feeling of sort of it was like being like trapped, kind of like oppression, tension. It felt connected to what I often label as anxiety as well, and kind of the insight I ended up having And when I say insight, I'm not certain this is correct or not, but it felt like insight in the moment. Was it actually this feeling of boredom, and then like this is one of the things where those like memories came back. So I was like having these memories really weirdly of like this specific time that I was like with my parents and maybe my sister at like a random family friend's house or something we hadn't been to before, when I don't even know, maybe I was like 11 or something. I actually have no idea. Just this really random specific memory of this day going to these people's house, that I didn't even know that I remembered or something. And I was like, why? What is this memory? And then what it ended up seeming like was like of being really bored there and kind of having to be like, okay, be like well behaved and like sitting here like being a nice kid doing this visiting thing, even though this is something I have no interest in, and thinking that that was connected to this whole thing of like well, I guess kind of what came to mind during it and thinking about it after is like, oh, maybe I, as a kid experienced boredom really intensely, and from I guess I like am currently looking to if I have ADHD. A lot of people tell me I have ADHD. I was like maybe experienced boredom like really intensely and painfully, and if I had to like just sit and do something that was boring to me, that was like actually maybe like a very very intensely unpleasant experience. And also I just experience it a lot more often, right? Like if it's an ADHD thing, just being bored really easily, and that being not just like a bit annoying, but like maybe even like small t traumatic. I don't know, that word's a bit overused. And then from being a very like good, well behaved kid, I would like want to always do the right thing. So if it's like, okay, you're meant to just be like sitting and not being distracted, I would like really try and force myself to do that, but just be like suffering a lot. And thinking maybe that has like had a big sort of a lasting impact on me. These experiences of like sort of intense, enforced boredom, and feeling kind of like trapped and claustrophobic and like choking. These were some of the words that resonated when I was like labeling feelings during it. And then I was sort of then thinking about, and like after that meditation, thinking about ways that could be kind of impacting the way I experience things today. Anyway, I guess I described more yesterday since today's sit. Today's sit was like, I guess, more on that same track. So it was also like noticing that boredom feeling a lot. Well, I guess it's like a feeling that comes up a lot, but I hadn't thought of the boredom label for it before. So it was kind of, trying using that boredom label and seeing how that felt. And then like, other related feelings coming up, like feeling choked by the boredom or different stuff. And I'll try and wrap this up because I've been talking for quite a while now. And for most of the sit, it was like I would be so these feelings would come up and like be quite intense, and some of it kind of felt like, this is what the perception was at the time, almost like I was experiencing feelings like from the past or something. Like it almost felt a bit like meta experiencing or something. So it was like, oh, there's a feeling of being choked by boredom, but it was kind of like, it wasn't just like, oh, I'm feeling bored now because I'm meditating or something. It was kind of like I was seeing it as like, oh, my system kind of sees that now. I'm like aware of this, and I'm like giving attention to these feelings, and so it's kind of like showing me these feelings that I felt in the past or something. I don't know if that is what was going on. That was just how I was perceiving it at the time for some reason. And so for most of the set, even though there was like quite unpleasant and intense feelings around this feeling of like boredom and being choked and trapped and stuff, it felt quite like manageable, I guess, and like there was kind of some space. I would have some space around those feelings. Like there wasn't so much, I guess, like a sort of intense aversion with the feelings. I won't try and describe that in more depth because I'm trying to wrap up, but So for most of this, it was like that. But then in the last maybe 10 or 15 minutes, it actually just became quite unpleasant and like, yeah, there wasn't that meta level. It was just like, oh, I'm feeling this whatever bored chat feeling really intensely, and it's actually just really bad. Yeah, and after this year, I was thinking like, maybe when it switches to that phase, it's worth just like stopping. Like maybe that experiencing that is actually more just like re-traumatizing or whatever. Scare quotes on traumatizing. Yeah, so I'm not sure. I have kind of trouble with that. Like, how much is it helpful to like push through with sitting and like just experience those hard things or whatever, versus like, no, you're just giving yourself a bad time. That's not helping. Yeah, that's all for today. First try of this. I'll see if I want to do more or not.